Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka and with me is R.S. Raghu bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi stresses on constant innovation and dynamic methods to deal with COVID-19 as the virus is continuously changing its form. Government of India says continuous improvement in recovery from COVID-19 being noted in the country from 3rd of May. Active cases also on decline trend. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh lauds efforts of the armed forces and Indian Coast Guard in rescue operations following cyclone Taukte. Sri Lanka to close its borders for all passenger arrivals for 10 days starting Friday. China and USA exchange words over a US warship entering the South China Sea. And in football, World Cup winners Thomas Müller and Mats Hummels to return to the German national team for Euro 2020. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, follow all the precautions and all those who have taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated with the second dose at the scheduled time. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on constant innovation and adoption of dynamic methods and strategies to effectively deal with the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. He said this virus is continuously changing its form and the scientists are working to deal with the mutant virus. The Prime Minister interacted with the district officials of 10 states on the COVID-19 situation on Thursday. Mr. Modi has said, amid the second wave of coronavirus, mutant virus is posing a concern for the adult and children. He asked the state administration and district officials to prepare for this challenge by evaluating the data related to seriousness of this infectious disease. Highlighting the need to avoid wastage of COVID vaccine, Mr. Modi said wastage of a single dose of vaccine means not being able to provide the necessary protective cover to one life. He said the Union Health Ministry is providing the information for the availability of the 15-day stock of vaccines to the states and union territories. Stressing on the implementation of the COVID-appropriate behavior, the Prime Minister said adoption of such behavior is a major tool in the fight against the COVID-19. Appreciating the role of the district officials in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, the Prime Minister has said work done at the field level and the experiences and feedbacks shared by the district officials will help in making the practical and effective policies. The Prime Minister has said that the priority is also to keep life easy along with saving lives. He said there should be facilities for free ration for the poor and other essential supplies.
The Union Health Ministry has said that continuous improvement in the cases of recovery from COVID-19 is being noted in the country from 3rd of May. The active cases of COVID-19 are also on a declining trend from this period. Addressing the media, Joint Secretary in the Health Ministry, Lav Agarwal said that the number of active cases has now come down to 12.1% from the level of 17.13%, while the recovery rate has improved to 86.7% from the level of 81.7% on the 3rd of May. He also mentioned that the 6 states, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat, which were the major contributors in active cases, are now showing a decrease in these cases. He stressed on the need to ensure continued efforts at containment levels in the states reporting decrease in active cases. Mr. Agarwal also informed that India has witnessed a consistent upward trend in weekly tests since mid-February, with average daily tests increasing by 2.3 times in the last 12 weeks. Quoting a study undertaken in 25 cities covering 2,000 persons, the Joint Secretary Health said that around 50% of the country's population do not wear mask at present and only 7% wear it properly. During the briefing, Director General, Indian Council of Medical Research, Dr. Balram Bhargav, stressed on the need to increase testing with a view to further bringing down the case positivity rate to 5%. Dr. Bhargav informed that the government has set a target of conducting 25 lakh tests per day by the end of this month and 45 lakh tests per day by the end of June. Meanwhile, the Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has urged the states and union territories to make fungal infection mucormycosis, known as black fungus, a notifiable disease under the Epidemic Diseases Act 1897. The ministry has asked all the government and private health facilities, medical colleges to follow guidelines for screening, diagnosis and management of mucormycosis issued by the Union Health Ministry and Indian Council of Medical Research. In a letter written to all the states and union territories, Joint Secretary in the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, Love Agarwal, has asked the health facilities to make it mandatory to report all suspected and confirmed cases to the Health Department. Expressing concern over this new health challenge, the Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said cases of this fungal infection have been reported from many states among COVID-19 patients. It said mucormycosis is leading to prolonged morbidity and mortality amongst the COVID-19 patients. The Union Health Ministry has said that the treatment of this fungal infection requires a multidisciplinary approach consisting of an eye surgeon, ENT specialist, neurosurgeon and institution of amphotericin B as an antifungal medicine.
Over 18 crore 70 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered to the beneficiaries so far. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said that over 11,66,000 vaccine doses were administered to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. India had launched the world's largest vaccination drive on 16th of January this year. The Government of India has been receiving international cooperation of COVID-19 relief medical supplies and equipment since 27th of last month from different countries and organizations. These are being promptly dispatched and delivered to the states and UTs. More than 13,000 oxygen concentrators, 15,000 oxygen cylinders, 19 oxygen generation plants, 10,000 ventilators or BiPAP, and over 6 lakh remdesivir vials have been delivered or dispatched through road and air till now. In the last 2 days, major consignments were received from Canada, Kuwait, Oman, Myanmar, USI, SPF, and UK Medical Aid International. Effective immediate allocation and streamlined delivery to the recipient states and union territories and institutions is an ongoing exercise. The Health Ministry is comprehensively monitoring it on a regular basis. A dedicated coordination cell has been created in the Union Health Ministry to coordinate the receipt and allocation of foreign COVID relief materials as international cooperation in the form of grants, aid. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Thursday said the COVID-19 pandemic is reshaping the world. Speaking at the 26th Future of Asia Nikkei Asia Conference, the minister said the crisis is a black swan event and its long-term impact on global order and future of Asia is yet to be comprehended. He said COVID has brought out the value of trust and transparency and also reliable supply chains. He stressed on the need for creating greater global capacities and promoting decentralized globalization as a durable solution. Dr. Jaishankar added that India-Japan partnership can make a real difference in addressing these.
Now let us take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world. Bangladesh has approached several countries to procure COVID-19 vaccine for the country. Addressing media in Dhaka on Thursday, Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen said that Bangladesh is making efforts to get vaccines from the US, China, Canada, Russia and UK apart from its request to India to meet Bangladesh's urgent need for the vaccine. Speaking about the countries with whom Bangladesh is in discussion for the vaccine, Foreign Minister Dr. Momen said the discussion with China was in final stages while discussion with Russia is ongoing. The supply from Serum Institute of India was interrupted due to the sudden rise in COVID-19 cases in India and consequent surge in domestic demand. A group of scientists have criticized the World Health Organization (WHO) for their report into the origins of COVID-19 in Wuhan and demanded a further investigation. According to reports, scientist Lord Ridley said that the WHO's investigation into the origins of coronavirus in China is farcical. The WHO report on the origins of coronavirus was released in March and concluded that it is extremely unlikely that the virus, which has killed millions across the world, originated in a lab in China. Singapore on Thursday asked Facebook and Twitter to carry a correction notice to users of the social media platforms in the country over a false statement about a new virus variant originating in Singapore. Singapore's Ministry of Health said it was aware of the statement circulating online on media outlets and social media platforms, which implied that a new, previously unknown variant of COVID-19 originated in Singapore and risked spreading to India from the city-state. The correction orders were issued under Singapore's Fake News Law or the Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation Act. According to reports, Facebook confirmed receipt of the order and said it was legally compelled to issue the correction notice. Sri Lanka will close its border for all passenger arrivals for 10 days beginning Friday, said the Civil Aviation Authority on Thursday after officials reported a record single-day high of 3,051 COVID-19 cases. The country's death toll has rapidly risen in the last few weeks, reaching 1,015 on Tuesday. Russian Sputnik vaccine as well as China's Sinopharm vaccines are currently being administered in the country. The United Nations Security Council on Wednesday called for more coronavirus vaccines for Africa amid concerns that the continent has received only 2% of all shots administered in the world. A statement approved by all 15 members at a council meeting called for increased and accelerated donation of safe and effective vaccine doses from developed economies and others with supplies to African countries in need. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the council meeting that the limited supply and access to vaccines has hamstrung Africa's recovery from the pandemic. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has confirmed that the BioNTech Pfizer COVID-19 shot can be stored at refrigerator temperatures for up to a month. The move, based on a review of recent data submitted by Pfizer, will now allow vaccines to be stored at refrigerator temperatures of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius for up to 1 month. Previously, the vials were only allowed to be stored at such temperatures for 5 days. New Zealand on Thursday revealed a big spending budget that focuses on boosting the COVID-19 hit economy while also carrying out long-expected progressive reforms. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced major funding boosts to welfare payments, social housing and health. This is All India Radio, giving you the world news.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back to the World News. The External Affairs Ministry of India on Thursday said that India is in continued engagement with the USA for augmenting the vaccine supply in India, either through procurement or manufacturing. Speaking to the media in a press briefing, spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Arindam Bagchi, said that all such vaccines would meet India's regulatory standards.
We remain engaged with US entities on the prospect of procuring vaccines from the US and also perhaps manufacturing them in India subsequently. This would augment our vaccine availability once this is available, whether it is through procurement or subsequent manufacturing. We have, of course, noted the recent announcement by the US government of its intention to make some vaccines available to other countries. However, I do not have any information on this to share for the moment. I would like to emphasize that all vaccines that may be procured from abroad would need to be as per our regulatory guidelines. I understand that the US has also indicated that any vaccine that it sends abroad would be after obtaining FDA clearance for product quality.
On the issue of exports of vaccine from India, Mr. Bagchi referred to Foreign Secretary Shringla's earlier comments that currently India's vaccine manufacturing capacities will be purposed to meet the domestic demand.
As regards the issue of further vaccine supplies abroad, I would highlight that this issue was answered in detail by Foreign Secretary when he addressed the media on April 29th. If you recall, he particularly highlighted the need to purpose currently the vaccine that is being produced domestically towards our own domestic vaccination program. I think EM made a similar point today.
Replying to the question on the foreign aid flowing into India to assist its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Bagchi has said that close to 40 countries have shown their solidarity with India by supplying COVID-related medical equipment.
Well, a large number of countries have expressed solidarity with and support to India in our fight against the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. You have seen a lot of these details that have been put out in our social media. Many of these countries, I would say numbering over 40, have supplied COVID-related equipment and material to us through the Indian Red Cross Society.
On the media reports on India's role in the development of the Farzad-B gas field in Iran, the spokesperson said that India's consortium is in touch with Iranian authorities over the matter.
We have seen media report the National Iranian Oil Company, NIOC, has signed a contract this week on May 17 with Messrs. Petropars for the development of the Farzad-B gas field in the Persian Gulf. It may be recalled that last July 2020, we had shared with you that Iran had decided to develop this Farzad-B gas field on its own and wanted to involve India appropriately at a later stage. The involvement of this Indian consortium is underway and we are in touch with them. The latest development, of course, is part of Iran's own efforts to develop the gas field, and we are in touch. Our consortium is in touch with the Iranian authorities.
On the issue of disengagement with China at the line of actual control in Ladakh, Mr. Bagchi reiterated that the process of de-escalation needs to be completed at the earliest.
On the larger issue of disengagement, External Affairs Minister in his most recent conversation with his Chinese counterpart on April 30th conveyed that while the process of disengagement had commenced earlier this year, it remained unfinished. He emphasized that it was necessary that this process be completed at the earliest. In this context, the two sides have agreed also that in the interim, they would maintain stability on the ground and avoid any new incidents. It is our expectation, therefore, that neither side should take any action that is not in keeping with these understandings. Full restoration of peace and tranquility in the border areas would enable progress in this bilateral relationship.
Mr. Bagchi said that on the issue of repatriation of Indian nurses from Dubai, the Indian Embassy in Abu Dhabi and Consulate in Dubai are constantly in touch with the authorities and are ready to extend any assistance as required.
Our consulate in Dubai has referred the matter to the Protector of Emigrants in Thiruvananthapuram, since preliminary inquiries indicate the possible involvement of some Indian recruiting agents in this. So far, our embassy in Abu Dhabi and our consulate in Dubai have not received any requests to repatriate Indian nurses. However, they remain in touch with community associations to identify and extend help to any Indian national who approaches them with any specific request.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has lauded the efforts of the armed forces and the Indian Coast Guard for the ongoing search and rescue operations in areas affected due to Cyclone Taukte. He commended the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard for saving the lives of people stranded at sea. He also hailed the Indian Army for deploying its columns in affected areas and the Indian Air Force for transporting personnel of National Disaster Response Force. The Defence Minister is in constant touch with Chiefs of the Naval Staff, Army Staff, Air Staff and Director General of the Indian Coast Guard. The Defence Minister had recently directed the armed forces to extend all possible assistance to the civil administration to tide over the impending cyclone. The Navy and the Coast Guard have deployed their sea and air assets and rescued more than 600 people from 4 barges off the Mumbai coast over the past few days.
Amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, US President Joe Biden telephoned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the 4th time yesterday since the conflict started on the 10th of May. President Biden told Mr. Netanyahu that he expects a significant de-escalation in the Gaza conflict. The White House said in a statement that Mr. Biden wanted a path to a ceasefire. On the other hand, Mr. Netanyahu has said that Israel is determined to carry on until calm and security are restored to its citizens. The US and Israel are staunch allies, and America has so far opposed a joint UN Security Council statement on the conflict. The Israel-Palestine conflict has entered its 11th day, with Hamas militants continuing rocket fire into Israel and Israeli jets pounding Gaza in the airstrike. The current escalation began after weeks of tension between the two nations at a holy site in occupied East Jerusalem that is reversed by both Muslims and Jews. So far, at least 227 people have been killed in Gaza. Israel has claimed that at least 150 militants are among those killed in Gaza. In Israel, 12 people have been killed. In the latest exchange of salvos, China said on Thursday a U.S. warship had illegally entered its territorial waters in the South China Sea, an assertion the United States denied. A United States Navy warship USS Curtis Wilbur sailed near disputed Beijing-controlled islands in the South China Sea on Thursday. Beijing, which claims almost all the South China Sea as its territory, said the movement of the U.S. warship violated its sovereignty. In a statement, the Chinese military's Southern Theater Command said the USS Curtis Wilbur entered the waters near the Paracel Islands without permission. The U.S. action artificially increases regional security risks and is prone to misunderstandings, misjudgments, and accidents at sea, the statement said. It is the second time in 2 days that China has released a statement condemning the actions of the U.S. warship. However, the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet said the vessel asserted navigational rights and freedoms near the Paracel Islands, over which China, Taiwan, and Vietnam all claim sovereignty. The Chinese military's comments about the mission were false, it added. On Tuesday, USS Curtis Wilbur transited the Taiwan Strait, which separates self-ruled Taiwan under a democratically elected government from mainland China. Beijing also says Taiwan is part of its sovereign territory, but the self-ruled island has got strong backing from Washington. China on Wednesday denounced the presence of the U.S. destroyer in the strait. The South China Sea has become one of many flashpoints in the testy relationship between China and the United States, with Washington rejecting what it calls unlawful territorial claims by Beijing in the resource-rich waters. U.S. warships have passed through the South China Sea with increasing frequency in recent years in a show of strength against the Chinese claims.
India and Oman on Thursday renewed the Memorandum of Understanding on Military Cooperation along with its annexure. The signing ceremony was held at the Ministry of Defence, Sultanate of Oman. The document was signed by Dr. Mohammed bin Nasir Al Zadi, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Defence, Sultanate of Oman, and Mr. Munu Mahawar, Ambassador of India to the Sultanate of Oman. In a statement, the External Affairs Ministry of India confirmed that both the countries also renewed the Memorandum of Understanding to cooperate on maritime issues, for which the signing ceremony was held at Maritime Security Centre, Sultanate of Oman. The document was signed by Rear Admiral Saif bin Nasir Al Rahabi, the Commander of Royal Navy of Oman, and the Head of Maritime Security Committee, and Mr. Munu Mahawar, Ambassador of India to the Sultanate of Oman. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina gave away the highest civilian award of Bangladesh, Swadhinta Puraskar 2021, also known as Independence Award, to 9 individuals and a research organization on Thursday. She handed over the award at her official residence, Gana Bandhan in Dhaka. The Independence Award is conferred on people or organizations for their outstanding contribution to the liberation war of Bangladesh, science and technology, literature and culture, among others. The award for the year 2021 included 4 posthumous awards given to A.K.M. Bazlur Rahman, Shahid Hasanullah Master, Brigadier General Khurshid Uddin Ahmed and Akhtar Usman Chaudhry Babu for their contribution to independence and the War of Liberation. Dr. Mrinmoy Guha Nyogi received the honour for his contribution to science and technology, while Mohadev Saba was bestowed with award for his contribution to the field of literature. Ataur Rahman and Ghazi Mazahur Anwar got the award for culture and Professor M. Amjad Hussain for social work. Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council received the award in the Research and Training category. The award has been given since 1977. It is announced ahead of Independence Day of Bangladesh. The recipients of awards get a gold medal and a cash reward of Taka 5 lakh. The announcement of names for the award was made in March.
Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today chaired the opening session of the 33rd meeting of Health Ministers of Commonwealth countries through video conferencing. Speaking on the pandemic, the minister said it has already run into hundreds of billions of dollars, leading to a significant contraction in the global economy. He said for effectively ending the pandemic, more COVID-19 vaccines need to be developed and must be deployed rapidly across the world once proven to be both safe and efficacious against the virus. He mentioned that to this end, the WHO-led initiative Access to COVID-19 Tools ACT Accelerator has proven to be a groundbreaking global collaboration which is expediting development, production and equitable access to COVID-19 tests, treatments and vaccines. Moving on to sports, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach and Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga both reiterated their commitment that the postponed Olympic Games will be held as scheduled in a safe way. Bach said that the IOC will send additional medical personnel to help the organizers ease the shortage of medical staff. He also revealed that at least 75% of the athletes and participants to stay in the Olympic Village will be vaccinated. Suga said at an upper house plenary session that his government will push ahead with preparations to host the games safely. He further said that officials will consider strict measures such as making sure locals don't meet with games participants.
At the domestic stock markets, key indices fell for the second day today, but the rupee appreciated marginally against the US dollar. In the international markets, Brent crude oil prices continue to trade above $66 a barrel. A report from the Business World.
The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange lost 338 points, or 0.7%, to close at 49,565 today. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange slid 124 points, or 0.8%, to end at 14,906. In global equity markets, Asia Pacific were little changed and ended mixed. So China's Shanghai Composite Index shed 0.1%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 0.5%, and South Korea's Kospi Index slipped 0.3%. But Japan's Nikkei 225 Index gained 0.2%, and Singapore's Straits Times Index ended marginally higher. In Europe, London's FTSE 100 had shed 0.2% and Germany's DAX was trading marginally lower, but France's CAC 40 had gained 0.1% intraday trade.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post writes that Biden administration to stop detaining immigrants at 2 country jails under investigation for abuse complaints. And Khaleej Times said that car manufacturer Lamborghini sets electrification phase in motion with a 1.5 billion euros investment. A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi stresses on constant innovation and dynamic methods to deal with COVID-19 as the virus is continuously changing its form. Government of India says continuous improvement in recovery from COVID-19 being noted in the country from 3rd of May. Active cases also on declining trend. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh lauds efforts of the Armed Forces and Indian Coast Guard in rescue operations following Cyclone Taukte. Sri Lanka to close its borders for all passenger arrivals for 10 days starting Friday. China and USA exchange words over a US warship entering the South China Sea. And in football, World Cup winners Thomas Müller and Mats Hummels to return to the German national team for Euro 2020. India celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnavajan, by artists from Uzbekistan. with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.